Beneath a silent moon, the old military park stood silent, a stark silhouette against the moonlit sky. Weeds snaked through cracks in the parade ground, reclaiming the earth. Rust ate at the edges of forgotten cannons, silent sentinels of a bygone era. The air hung heavy, thick with the weight of unseen history and whispered secrets. A flicker at the edge of sight. It was subtle, almost imperceptible, but enough to catch my attention. My eyes strained to focus, trying to discern if it was just a trick of the light, or something more sinister lurking in the shadows. A fleeting darkness against the pale stone barracks. The contrast was stark, the shadow moving with a speed that seemed unnatural. It was as if the darkness had a life of its own, slipping through the cracks and crevices of the old stones, evading my gaze. My heart hammered against my ribs, a frantic drum in the stillness. Each beat echoed in my ears, amplifying the silence around me. I could feel the blood rushing through my veins, my body responding to the primal fear that was taking hold. I strained to see, breath catching in my throat. The darkness seemed to thicken, becoming almost tangible. My eyes darted back and forth, trying to catch another glimpse of the shadow. Every muscle in my body was tense, ready to react to the slightest movement. There it was again, a swift, silent movement, gone before I could grasp its form. It was like trying to catch smoke with my bare hands, elusive and frustrating. The shadow seemed to mock me, appearing and disappearing at will, always just out of reach. A shiver ran down my spine, icy claws tracing the length of my back. The sensation was almost painful, a cold that seeped into my bones. I could feel the goosebumps rising on my skin, a physical manifestation of the fear that was consuming me. Fear, primal and consuming, gripped me. It was an ancient fear, one that spoke to the deepest parts of my psyche, the kind of fear that our ancestors must have felt when faced with the unknown dangers of the night. It was a fear that demanded respect, that told me to run, to hide, to do anything to escape the unseen threat. Something was here, something unseen, something watching. I could feel its gaze, a heavy weight that pressed down on me. It was a presence that was both familiar and alien, something that existed just beyond the edge of my understanding. I knew it was there, even if I couldn't see it. My eyes darted to the spot where the darkness had been. Empty. The absence of the shadow was almost as unsettling as its presence. It was as if the darkness had left a void, a space that felt wrong, out of place. I couldn't shake the feeling that it was still there, lurking just out of sight. The wind whispered through the trees, a mournful sigh that echoed my growing unease. I was not alone. The sound seemed to carry a message, a warning that I was not welcome here. The trees swayed gently, their branches creaking like old bones. The wind seemed to wrap around me, chilling me to the core. The hair on the back of my neck prickled with a sudden awareness, a certainty that I was being observed. It was an instinctual reaction, one that I couldn't ignore. My senses were heightened, every sound, every movement amplified. I could feel the presence drawing closer, its intent clear. I had to move to find a way out before it was too late. The park's history was etched in sorrow. It stands as a silent witness to the echoes of conflict that once reverberated through its grounds. Each tree, each blade of grass, holds memories of a time when young men trained here, preparing for the unknown challenges that lay ahead. A training ground for young soldiers, many of whom never returned from distant battlefields. They marched with determination, their hearts filled with a mix of fear and hope. The rigorous training they endured was meant to prepare them for the harsh realities of war, but nothing could truly ready them for the horrors they would face. Their laughter, their fears, their final goodbyes, all absorbed into the very fabric of this place. These moments of camaraderie and vulnerability are forever imprinted here. The bonds they formed, the friendships that blossomed, and the tears they shed are all part of the park's silent narrative. Stories whispered of a brutal battle fought on these grounds, a last stand against overwhelming odds. The clash of steel, the roar of cannons, and the cries of the wounded filled the air. It was a day of unimaginable bravery and sacrifice, where every soldier fought with unwavering resolve. The earth ran red that day, they said, stained with the blood of young men who gave their lives for a cause they believed in. The aftermath was a haunting sight, with the battlefield littered with the remnants of a fierce struggle. The park now serves as a solemn reminder of their sacrifice, a place where the echoes of their bravery and the weight of their loss can still be felt. Locals spoke of the shadow in hushed tones. It was a topic that no one dared to discuss openly, yet it lingered in every conversation. The fear was palpable, a shared secret that bound the community together in silent dread. A fleeting glimpse, a chilling presence felt in the dead of night. The park, once a place of solace and tranquility, had transformed into a realm of unease. The moonlight cast long, eerie shadows, and every rustle of leaves seemed to whisper of unseen dangers lurking just out of sight. A young couple seeking a secluded spot claimed to have seen a dark figure cross their path, vanishing into thin air. They described it as a shadowy silhouette moving with an unnatural swiftness. Their romantic evening turned into a night of terror as they hurriedly left the park, their hearts pounding with fear. A lone jogger out for his morning run swore he heard heavy footsteps behind him, though when he turned, there was no one there. The sound was unmistakable, echoing through the misty morning air. He quickened his pace, glancing over his shoulder repeatedly, but the footsteps seemed to follow, relentless and unseen. These stories, passed down through generations, wove a tapestry of fear and uncertainty around the park. Old photographs and newspaper clippings told tales of haunted places and mysterious disappearances. Around campfires, elders recounted their own encounters, each story more chilling than the last. The park had become a place where the past and present intertwined, where the whispers in the dark held the power to haunt the living. Driven by a morbid curiosity, I returned to the park. The sun was sinking low in the sky, casting long, ominous shadows across the grounds. The wind had picked up, rustling the leaves in the trees and sending a chill through the air. I could feel the weight of countless unseen eyes upon me, watching my every move. I wasn't alone in my pursuit. Paranormal investigators armed with EMF readers and EVP recorders had flocked to the park, drawn by the rumors and the potential for contact with the other side. They came seeking evidence, proof of the unseen forces that seemed to permeate this place. Their findings, though inconclusive, only deepened the mystery. Some whispered that the shadow belonged to a soldier, killed in the battle that raged across these very grounds. His spirit, unable to find peace, remained tethered to the place of his demise, forever searching for something lost or seeking retribution for a life cut short. Others theorized that the shadow was a residual haunting, a fragment of energy imprinted upon the environment, replaying a moment in time over and over. Portals and passing. A particularly unsettling theory suggested the park was situated on a thin spot, a veil between this world and the next. The shadow, they claimed, was not one entity but many, passing through the veil, momentarily glimpsed in our reality before fading back into the ethereal mist. The weight of grief. Whatever the truth, the park remained a place of sorrow. The weight of past tragedies hung heavy in the air, a palpable presence that seeped into your bones. It was impossible to shake the feeling that you were walking among the dead, their unseen gazes following your every move. Unanswered questions. Linger. As darkness descended, shrouding the park in an oppressive blanket of silence, I stood alone on the parade ground. The wind whispered through the trees, a mournful dirge that sent shivers down my spine. The air crackled with unseen energy, a tangible reminder of the mysteries that remained unsolved. The shadow remains. I left the park that night with more questions than answers. The shadow, elusive as ever, remained a mystery, its true nature unknown. But one thing was certain. The haunted military park held secrets. Secrets that whispered on the wind, secrets that chilled the soul and lingered long after the sun had set. And somewhere, in the shadows, I knew the unseen eyes were still watching.